Hello, I'm Jody Wolf. You're watching Expoz. It is March 6, 2017, 1124 p.m. Birmingham. Topic, multiple interesting topics. They're all short. But I give you a heads up on all of them. And population decrease, according to the DIAGEL report, and Tom Horn, Chris Putnam, one of those died. Evil came to the United States in 1963, and evil's leaving in 2017 by the same manner in which it came in. And but let me get to it. If you recall, a few days ago, I did a blog where there's supposed to be a population decrease, as per the DIAGEL report points out and shows the status of all nations, starting at number 1, which is China at the top, United States number 11, and behind us, well, it's the rest of them, and one nation that's not even on that whole map, Israel. They're not even there, according to the DIAGEL report. But I was watching Into the Multiverse with Josh Peck and Christina, and he mentioned Brazil in a certain year, almost 40 years ago, or maybe slightly over 40 years ago, 78 to be exact, Israel had a UFO flap where so many reported UFOs that they could not number them all. There were sightings, more sightings of UFOs than of airplanes. And that's something. But what makes this important that they're listed ahead of the United States at like number 4 to America's number 11 on the DIAGEL report? Well, let me say this. Under our soil, there are many, many cities that are filled with these beings, whatever they are. I mean, we know they're not from other planets. We know that they're left over of what the DNA of the giants and whatever and man created during these thousands of years. And but I've got something to say about the number of the people in this country that's supposed to die about that. And so what would make Brazil be in front of the United States? BS, lies. And somebody said, well, maybe all these cities underground has to be protected, so therefore the people on top, 272 million has to be taken out. Yeah, well, believe that all day if you want to. And now, this is sad. Tom Horn and Chris Putnam. You remember Chris Putnam, when Tom Horn and Chris were the first two men that went to Mount Graham to the Pope's observatory, the Vatican's observatory, and they have one there called LUCIFER. And and the man that's over this talked candidly to Chris Putnam and Tom Horn about this. And they were writing a book. And they both called at the same time that when the new Pope was coming, he even said who it was. But something is changing there as we speak. So people are calling Tom Horn and Chris, how in the world did you guys know this? Where are your sources? And they said, look, deductions. That's all, just time deductions. And that's working off of a pope that made a statement 800 years ago. But the sad thing is, this weekend, Chris Putnam died this past weekend. And as of why, no one at this time has said anything as to why. But it's keep the family, the Chris Putnam family, in your prayers, because he was good, guys. And I always ask myself, when someone like him dies, why, God, do you take the good ones? And there's no reason that I can give. He took my wife, and I can't say why, because if anyone was needed here, certainly it would be her more than I, because of her positive influence she had on everyone. And Chris, the same way. He was well loved, well liked, and he was one of my top 5. And but anyway, let's move on. And oh, by the way, he was age 51. Sad. All right, and today, the reason God brought up Trump for this day through the next 2 terms, so that we can have one more chance to get it right. I believe this is why. It's not time for America's demise. So I think God brought Trump up for this, to stop it in its tracks. Excuse me. And so, what is it that we have to get right? Well, I'm going to get to that. And this is to abolish abortion, return prayer back to schools, and to ball games, graduating events, classes, and so forth. And just every prayer or event that you felt like prayer was required, and, safety precautions for football players and baseball players, and, salute the flag. Well, these things have been removed. And so why did abortion become illegal? Well, and why was prayer moved from schools? Well, here's why. Because of me and you. I was 14 when prayer was removed. And in 10 years, in 1973, I was on the police department, and that was the year that abortion was made legal. And so again, all that is necessary for the triumphant of evil is that good men do nothing. That's our fault. Nothing evil can get past good if there's prayer stopping it. Greater is he that is in me than he that is on the world, or in the world. Don't forget that. So if we do not stop it, evil will win every single time. That's Satan, not evil. That is Satan who won. The only power on earth that can stop him are Christians. Greater is he that is in me. And when we fight Satan with prayer, he flees. He flees in pain, because we light a fire under his butt. Guys, I'm telling you the truth. Our prayer burns Satan, so he won't stick around. He gets out of the way. He runs from it. He flees from it. And last, well, not quite last, almost, in the population control in America, as per the DIAGEL report, to remove 272 million people from the United States. Don't believe in it, not for 1 second. That's not going to happen. Not as long as we are here. So when population begins to decrease at the rate of 17.2 million a day, then we'll know we have entered the last 7 years. So 3.5 years, 1,277 days, 1/3 of the population will die. Again, that's over 2.2 billion, and that is 17.2 million per day for the first 3.5 years, or 1,277 days. And the same roughly on the second 3.5 years, but it's going to be a torturous removal. And it's going to be horrible, bad. And it's going to be a quarter. But in the end, a half of the world's population will die over a period of 7 years. And these are coming. And final, I thought I'd give you one last tidbit. Let me go to it. And this is Newshound, Intel, Guru, BGG article. Central Bank, Iraq, overcome the financial crisis in the coming days bode well. Quote, Iraq will become a country of foreign investment as a result of competing foreign international companies to invest into the reconstruction of liberated cities. As of now, Mosul is gone. ISIS is out. It's been liberated last week. It's been liberated, actually week before last. But again, none of this can happen without a serious shift in economic and currency policy. Just can't happen. So they're back to forecasting as they were in late 2016. But this time, the timeline isn't months or part of a year, but it is days. In their own words, not weeks, not months, not years. And they left it right there. So I wanted to give you that little bit of pick me up there. But that's just an overview of some things I wanted to say. And again, Chris Putnam, 51. Boy, he was an up-and-coming superstar. And he was very brilliant. And I'm assuming because I didn't see him, have not seen him in the last several, probably about 4 or 5 months. So I'm led to believe that he may have been ill for that time. I don't know. But we'll hear more about that. And Tom Horn did this past weekend on Sunday, talked about that. But as far as why, no one knows. At least no one's talking right now. I'm going to say an illness. Look, I'm going to say something else I should. Well, my daughter and I, the first time we watched them talk about the Pope returning, by the way, it brought me back to remember something. I told her, I said, he sounds like something's wrong with his breath. I told her that. I told her that 2 years ago. Now, one more thing. Pope Francis said this past week that he is seriously thinking about standing down. Guess who the next pope in line to take his place? Guess what his name is? Peter. Wow. Jody Wolf Expoz.